Hello and welcome to another episode of The Many Parallels. We're your hosts, Trevor and Zach, and we are joined today with the lovely Nathan. Oh, the intro. Alright, so Nate, first off, why don't you tell us who you are and why anyone should care?
So, well, Nate Geiger in the band Censor with your brother, friend of everyone, I guess. But, today we're going to be talking TCGs, TTRPGs. I've been into Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, all that fun stuff since I was, 3-4 years old, since I could be into it. I was really into Digimon for a hot minute.
Oh, dope.
All I know about Digimon is that intro slaps.
Oh, dude.
Right, it's different.
Both of them do. You
I
ever
only
hear
know
the
the first
Japanese one?
No.
Oh, dude. That one's so gas. But, and then I've been playing TTRPGs for probably 7-8 years now and DMing them for like 5 years, and I became a forever DM. So that kind of sucks, but like...
What's that mean?
So no one ever wants to be the dungeon master and like actually run the game. They just want to play it.
Yeah.
So as soon as I started running games, they were like, "Cool, you can run every single game." And I was like, "All right,
Hit me up. I
Sounds
want to
good.
fucking DM again. I like it more than playing, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
I heard
It's a
an
lot,
analogy
but-
the other day where it was like being a DM is like trying to herd cats, because like you can get them where you kind of want them to go, but they're just all over the place.
Yeah, but that chaos is the fun part about it, man.
Exactly. That's kind of why I was just like cool with DMing, and like we do a lot of like real long campaigns. Like we prep for a solid like 8 months to a year to just like be running it, and like we've had the same group of guys now for 3 years. We had a couple seats swap out. Now we got our buddy Sav in, and he's taken over that seat for about 3 years now. So that's what's up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We started with a lot of D&D. I started with just like homebrew as a player. Like had a DM that lived in like the north side of Milwaukee, that kind of stuff. He was one of my brother's old roommates, that kind of thing, and like kind of got me into it. And then my brother just went like full nerd on it, bought all the books, became a dice goblin. Like he had to get every single sparkly dice out there, all that fun stuff.
Older
And,
brother?
Older brother, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest of 4, so.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and like, so started as a player, and then like people just couldn't make it, scheduling conflicts, all
Yeah,
that
that's what
stuff.
ruined our game, too.
Yep. And then eventually we were just like, all right, we're all adults. We can all make Tuesdays work. So we're playing on Tuesdays, and like, yeah, eventually got going, and I started my first campaign with like actually running a module of Icewind Dale. So if you're familiar with like the D&D universe at all,
I only am now because of Baldur's Gate, to be honest with you.
gotcha. So in Baldur's Gate, they talk about the Sword Coast. That's like
Yeah.
on the far west side. That's like where like Washington is in like United States map kind of thing. Icewind Dale is like
I
the
know where
tundra
west is.
north to that. So I didn't realize that apparently that's like one of the hardest modules to run, and like your characters just like die super easily, super early if you just run it like true to the story. We got through like, because it's like a 3-tier campaign where it's like levels 1 through 5, 5 through 10, and then 10 through 15.
Yeah, I remember you explaining that to me, how there's these tiers of play, and I didn't know that. I never ran a module. I'm broke as fuck. I literally just had the basic rules that are free on D&D Beyond, and just homebrewed everything and made it to the Elder Scrolls universe, and was giving out levels like they were hotcakes.
Yeah.
Not a great time, because motherfuckers are just shooting up.
I learned real fast though, like real early. Like you should just start at like level 3 if you're running a D&D campaign.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the consensus we came to, but I wanted to start at level 1. We was like, we're going to do Prison Break type shit, Elder Scrolls,
Yep.
bro.
Yep. That's a big part of the Icewind Dale, like tier 2 of that, is there's like prisons like in the North Pole of like the whole D&D universe, and like there's just some crazy stuff going on. Yeah, one of my characters just straight up died session 1, and because he started screwing with the town guard, and like I wasn't quite sure on like how to be like, yo, you're just like getting arrested, when you attack the town guard. Because, like, you know, they're all level 3 to 5, like, each individual soldier in the guard. Well, now you're going up against 20 of them. So, like, you're a little outmatched. So, but then I learned so fast. Everyone was so mad at me after our first, like, session or two. And I was like, all right, like, we're going to completely revamp this. Everyone level up to level 3. It's going to be a lot easier. You're going to have more spells, more abilities, that kind of stuff. And just, like, eventually, after we got through tier 1, I was like, I don't really like this, I don't like this module, but I like the setting. So, like, I just went straight into homebrew. And I was like, yeah. So
I feel like that's why I like DMing, is the homebrewing and kind of making your own shit. Like, because I ran in the Elder Scrolls universe, so I take some of that so I didn't go too crazy. Because given too much free reign, I will go off the walls and motherfuckers are not going to know anything I'm talking about.
Yep.
But I still did that to some extent and was able to keep myself grounded with, it's in the Elder Scrolls universe. I got to stick to, I can't contradict that lore too much. I kind of a little bit because that's what the universe allows, but.
I mean, there is a lot of that, like, that you can kind of just, like, mix and match. Because, like, the Elder Scrolls is just all its own thing. There's no, like, you know, Greek mythology being thrown in or, like, you know, any other mythology, like Egyptian mythology, all that. Like, but, like, in D&D, like, they really do kind of just, like, reskin all the
repackage
old,
all the shit.
Yeah, all that old stuff. So, like, but, like, in the Icewind Dale campaign, we had, one of my buddies was playing, so when you start in the Icewind Dale campaign, it says that in the back of the book, there's, like, secrets that you should give all of your characters, and one of them was that, like, someone was, like, secretly an assassin. So I gave that to my buddy who was, he started playing a bard, but his backstory was that he was an assassin that was a shapeshifter, and when he was, like, working for the, like, the Sword Coast, that was where his character was from, he was working for, like, the king there, and, like, he went and assassinated some dude, and they were, like, celebrating him, but then they decided to try and poison him. But Dionysus, the Greek god of, like, partying and stuff, basically was like, nah, I'm going to take the poison out of his alcohol, like, magically from a distance, but then he could still taste the poison in the alcohol. So he went through and killed everyone, and then shapeshifted into the bard and escaped up to Icewind Dale. So we gave him the Mehrunes dagger, or the razor from Skyrim, and, like, made it so he had, like, a 2% chance that if he just, like, rolled really well, that he would just one-shot anything. And it only came into play once, but he killed a dragon with it. The only dragon that we put in the thing. So it was like, all right, sick. It was at that prison, actually. He jumped out of the, like, watchtower, just landed on the dragon. I was like,
Assassin's Creed style.
Yep. He rolled, like, all his inspiration points. Are you familiar with what inspiration is in D&D?
No.
So basically, like,
if
you do, like, really cool stuff, or, like, if you're just being, like, a really solid player, you're, like, the guy running it, the DM, can give you an inspiration point, and it just lets you re-roll dice.
Okay.
And, like, rules is written, you're only supposed to have one, but most DMs just, like, will be like, you can stack them, like, if you don't use it, whatever. He had, like, 4 points of inspiration saved up. He re-rolled all of them so he could just get that one crit. It was supposed to have, like, 280 health with, like, a Viking on his back with, like, another 140 HP, who's actually one of our old characters who had to drop out. That's who Sav took over his seat, so I took over his character and made him a bad guy. But yeah, just one-shot it. I was like, well, I didn't plan for this, but I'll just roll with it. And then I threw a beholder at him afterwards. So I was just like, that's the eyeball with the other, like, tentacle
I know
eyeballs.
Beholders. And there's, like, the specters and the other...
The gazers and
the
all
different
that.
ones.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to have a beholder coming up soon in my campaign. If that ever gets back, I doubt it fucking will, honestly. Because, scheduling, all that shit. But, as I said, with the leveling up, big flaw, because I was just getting to the Act 1 was just about to end, essentially.
Yep.
And how you said you had a character die in the first thing, I was super scared to have any players die. And I prolonged the death of the one character who did die because, saw our guy, fucking Brandon, his character, he was drunk that night and he was just fucking around. And he jumps off a bridge into a 20-foot fucking lake or a river, falls down a waterfall, busts his head on a rock, gets up, and he fights these fucking things alone. The Charises, I think is how it's pronounced. Yeah. Fought like 3 of those, barely alive. Tries to fucking, I think they threw a rope down to try to get him. And he like rolled a nat 1 or some shit, so he fell back in the water, busted his head, and then fought a bunch more Falmor and died.
Yeah,
We had a bad night.
Yeah.
I've played with a lot of DMs that like they're more story driven.
That's
like,
how I am.
I'm really into just like, here's the world, go interact with it. Like I just want my players to do like whatever they want to do, whatever their character would do.
That's how I like started it, and then they sort of seemed interested with like, as a random villain, as they were breaking out of the fucking prison, it was like there was a vampire performing a ritual because a secret exit from the prison went into a temple. There's a vampire and they're doing a ritual, whatever. And they were super geeked about killing a vampire. So then I was like, all right, so vampires are the main bad guy now, and started building that into the world. And
yeah. Once that kind of stuff happens, like there's a bunch of modules for that. Like you got Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft and The Curse of Strahd, which was like one of the first 5th edition ones.
I was a broke boy, and like around the end of when, because I didn't know we were going to be ending soon or whatever the fuck, I had bought the Monster Manual and fucking Multiverse of Monsters, whatever the hell.
Yep.
Just so I had more than, at least inspiration, if not to just use for homebrew shit.
Yep. But yeah, no.
Because I was homebrewing like everything they fought. Like.
Yeah. That's, honestly, that's the way to do it. And like a lot of the like stat blocks for like monsters, so there's not really familiar with D&D, right?
Not too much.
So like on your monsters, you got 2 stats that you got to worry about for their like defenses. You have what's called their armor class. Everyone calls it the AC.
Okay.
So like that's what you need to roll above to actually hit them.
Right.
So like if they're like a really dexterous character, it's more like you're trying to actually hit them. Or if they're like a really tanky character, it's like you're trying to break through the armor that they're wearing.
Okay.
So that's like 1. And then you also have how much health they have.
All right.
So like how actually tanky they are.
Yeah.
And like the issue is like HP is worthless, honestly, in D&D. The way it works is like AC is how difficult the battle actually is. Whereas HP is just how long do you want the battle to go.
That's fair. Okay.
So like a lot of DMs, like once they get past, their team's past like level 4, level 5, they're kind of, everyone's got the gist of like what's going on. They all know how their characters work to a pretty good extent.
Mm-hmm.
I got some players that just like still don't know how their characters work, and I'm like, you do this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and that's your turn. But it is what it is. As long as you're having fun, I don't really care.
That's the main point.
But
for sure.
I tell a lot of the DMs, I'm like, once you get past that certain point, you gotta start when you like are tracking your monster's HP. Start at 0, and then start adding the damage.
Yeah, I was taught that too eventually on.
Because like
it's a lot easier to do that that way.
Say you got like a monster that has like 250 health or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're like just like having them chip away at that 250 and you're subtracting it, well, eventually someone's just gonna kill it, and it could just be a stray arrow just kind of hits it, and that doesn't really feel good.
Right.
But like when you're already at like 180 HP away, and then your wizard just hits it with like the sickest spell ever, it's like, that's what I want to kill it. I want you to feel really good about
yeah, that was one thing I would do
spell.
too. If someone did something really fucking smart, or like that I thought this would be a badass moment, you could have 100 health left, you got to kill. Like,
yep,
it makes a better story with it.
100%. And like sometimes I'll just like be like, I'll be battling them, or like I'll be DMing and my characters are battling this monster, and like they keep using fire spells. So like I like slowly put in hints that get more obvious that like, all right, now this monster just like originally didn't have fire resistance, but now it has fire resistance.
He's so burned, he's just fed up with it.
Because I want you to like do something else and like actually become more creative, where it's like, all right, I got my warlock casting firebolt, and my sorcerer casting burning hands, and my wizard casting fireball. My fighter's got a fire sword, and it's like, well, I'm gonna throw something that's resistant to fire. So you guys kind of gotta think of,
A little more diversity to the whole thing, right?
Because like that's a big thing with D&D is it gets really stale.
Yeah.
And yeah, but again, it's all about level progression. Like if you're just doing it at a good pace and like leveling up, I do milestone. So
That's
you can,
how I did too, yeah.
so you can either like track like experience points like a normal video game, which sucks because like
Yeah, fuck
I could
keeping
just
track of all that. That's I literally saw that was option. I was like, I don't want to keep track of all that bullshit. Fuck that.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, but I could just like tell my DM I just want to sit in a forest and kill pigs all day, and eventually I'm gonna be level 20 and I'm gonna be as strong as a god from killing all these pigs.
Right.
Which is
like
dumb.
the plot to the fucking South Park episode where they play World of Warcraft, bro.
Exactly, dude.
Just sit in the forest and kill boars.
Farming, bro. Yeah.
Dude,
you know?
do not get me started on World of Warcraft.
I
I
never played it.
oh, good. Like you.
Don't.
Yeah, but no, so like, and then there's milestones, so it's like they hit a certain point in the story or they kill like a certain monster or something like that, and it's like, all right, you guys all level up and like that kind of stuff. But
See, that was my problem with milestone though, is whoever did the most badass, I'd give them 2 levels.
yeah,
Should not have did that, but I did it plenty of times, and then levels are kind of all over the place, and yeah.
yeah, no, and like you learn like once you start like getting into like min-maxing your characters and like, because like people have opposed views on min-maxing. It's like, well, I don't want my character to be like weak, but like you don't want them to be so overpowered that you're making everyone else seem weaker than you are. So it's kind of like one of those things. But like if someone's 2 levels up on someone else, it's like, well, now they have hella abilities, hella spells on top of them, and it's just like, yeah, it feels bad. Like the
It's like you got to have your party's goals aligned, because if one of you fucking is min-maxing and the rest are just like not really giving a shit, or shit, I'll make characters sometimes. I don't have to plan, but I'll have character ideas at the very least, and it's like I'll purposefully give my character a shitty skill that they think they're good at. I mean, the character I did play in a campaign, he was like a goblin. He wanted to be a superhero, and he acted like everybody loved him and that he was the shit, and he had like terrible charisma and fucking yeah, like
character flaws make a character.
But he'd always try to interrupt, and he'd try to be the one talking to everybody and just be obnoxious with it. So
I love that shit though. Like I like the obnoxious characters. The lone wolf
voice
character is kind of hard. Yeah.
I am the mighty mongrel.
Yeah.
Talk like that the entire time.
And that kills your throat.
Dude, it fucking does.
Oh,
Holy
man.
shit.
Yeah.
But, dude, sometimes, and like you'll get like 2 hours into your session, and then you're like, I can't do the voice anymore, and you just stop.
I did that because every orc, they all kind of sounded like this.
Yeah.
And that shit kills your throat, especially they're in the early phase when they're in an orc prison, so they're pretty much only interacting with orcs. It's like, guys, I gotta fucking stop this. It's killing my shit.
Or you get the players that every single character they make is either English, Irish, Welsh. Like they just all have the same voice every time.
Yeah, that's one thing too. I find myself defaulting always to a Russian accent whenever I'm trying to do shit. I would try to imitate the Nords from Skyrim, and somehow that would always still end up becoming Russian. Don't know how. Any accent comes Russian somehow. And it would rub off on my characters. Or even when I was a player, I did it for one character I played. Everyone else would just start doing it too. It was fucking weird.
Yeah.
I would do it, and all of a sudden their characters are Russian too.
Yep. And it's just like one of those things. I had a buddy that he was playing was playing a character that had an Australian accent. And I was like, nah, that ain't an Australian accent. That's a moon accent from Family Guy when they make the little animation.
I don't watch Family Guy.
You don't watch Family Guy? Damn, I wasn't sure because we hit the South Park trivia. So
yeah,
I figured you were just kind of into that whole scope.
Out of Seth MacFarlane shows, I only really watch American Dad.
That's fair. I mean, that's the goated one. But still.
Damn. Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're saying that like you just like had the DM's guide, the basic guide. I mean,
I don't even have, literally, if you go on D&D Beyond, there's just free the basic rules.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I think it's the SRD or whatever the fuck, essentially.
Yep. Yeah. But like, now you can just like, it's gotten to the point where you can just Google it. And
yeah, I realized that after DMing for like a few months. I was like, I Googled it, trying to see if I could find it cheaper, and I was like, dude, there's literally a site that's got every single fucking book just here.
Yep. And like, man, with what Wizards of the Coast has been doing with D&D, it's just like they've had just like the greatest thing going, and then they shit on everyone. Did you hear about like what was going on with that?
Well, I know there was that whole thing with the OGL for a bit. That's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
But
Did you hear about that?
No, I want to know.
So they basically updated their licensing terms, and like all these content creators that were like doing D&D games and like having podcasts about it and all that.
Yeah.
They were basically like, you guys all owe us a cut.
What?
Yep.
But I heard that's only in terms of the
how do they do that?
The OGL for 1 D&D, but if you could still technically do that shit for 5th edition and it's fine.
Well, 1 D&D hasn't like
I know, but like
released,
that's
so.
what it was for is like the concept draft or whatever of that leaked.
Yeah.
Of
exactly.
the OGL for that. So.
And then they doubled down on it once everyone was mad at them, and then everyone got like super pissed.
And then I'm pretty
off.
sure they took it back, didn't they? Didn't they go back on that shit?
They went back on it, but like it's still kind of like one of those up in the air things. But dude,
well, you can always 5th edition or use that if you want to use OGL.
Yeah.
Go back to 3rd if you really want.
Exactly. So. And it's like, I mean, honestly, that shit's never gonna hold up. You know, trying to sue someone. So like, whatever.
It sounds kind of crazy. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs of the situation, but it just sounds kind of like scummy.
Yeah. Basically. But I've been getting into Magic lately, Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah.
And like that's the other Wizards of the Coast big game. And holy hell.
Yeah, I forgot they own that shit too.
Yeah.
The original TCG.
Yeah, right? I mean, I've just been doing Commander with Kike, our bass player.
I tried playing that for a bit, but I think I went there one day and it was like, this is too much. It's not for me because what I like out of D&D is the storytelling, the like goofing, and I don't like the rule shit. That's why I was like, half time I'd ignore the fucking rules.
The confines, if you will.
Yeah.
Kike, obviously, he likes that shit. He'd be like, oh, well, the D&D rulebook says this. Okay, well, I didn't read the rulebook, so here's what I'm saying. And, yeah. Because I just like to play.
It's nice to have, like, that one rules lawyer at your table where it's like, dude, no one... I was just watching a video the other day about, like, these guys that were playing, and they were, like, riding on top of a train, and they were like, we need to jump, so I'm going to run as fast as I can. And then I'm going to look up the jump rules because no one ever understands how the jump rules work. And, like, their goblin was like, hold on. I put on big ass spectacles and pull out just, like, the player's handbook and scroll through it. And he's like, all right, I didn't find it. And then one of their other characters was like, it's not even in the index. And it's like, yeah, there's rules for everything, but, like, it's just impossible to get to some
DM,
of them.
I'll just make a judgment call at the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it is for right now. Fuck it. We'll look it up after the session. I'll forget half the goddamn time. We'll have to ad-lib it again later, but this is what it is for right now.
Like I said, I like both sides of it, where it's just like, all right, yeah, there is a rule. And, like, I will play within the rules if everyone else is playing within the rules, blah, blah, blah. But, like, me as a DM, I'm real cool every time. Like, I might have you make a roll to, like, see how successful you are at something. But it's like, yo, if you were really creative about something, I'm just going to give it to you. I don't care if you rolled a 1. Like, maybe something stupid happened where you, like... You know, are trying to use a grappling hook in a specific way and you pull a rock onto yourself, but like...
See, I agree with that to some respect, but at the same time, I was like, if it was really, really cool, I wouldn't have him roll, but I'd always have him roll. And if you got a shit roll, I'm going to make it spectacularly shitty in respect, you know?
Yeah. But like, when someone's scaling a mountainside and it's like, oh, you rolled bad, now you slip fall down the mountainside and you take... fall damage that insta kills your character, it's like, well, that feels fucking bad. But like,
I never had my motherfuckers climb a mountain, thankfully. So.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've been more focused on, so I'm retiring one character from our current D&D campaign where I'm actually a player in, because like, honestly, I just kind of like forced him in. We were playing this like cyberpunky thing, and like, I made my one character kind of got taken away from me because she was evil. And the other players in the party attacked her, and she was way stronger than everyone, so she was like, it was either I kill everyone in the party and everyone's pissed at me, or I just give up my character, let her be a bad guy somewhere else in the story, and then make a new character. So I made a new character that was like a fairy from the Feywild, which is like elvish heaven. Like, they just party, it's a big forest, like all that stuff. So he was a fairy from there, and like, he was like tied into the background of like the giant lore and like all that shit, which none of the campaign was about at that point. So like I just kind of forced it. And I was playing the other day and I was like, man, I really like playing at this table, but I don't really vibe with this character. And like I almost got banished, like with the spell banishment, because my DM didn't read the very last line. That's like, if you're not from this plane of existence and the banishment spell lasts a minute, you're just stuck back in your home plane. So like, and you didn't read that. You thought I would just pop back in a minute. I was like, dude, you almost straight up just got rid of my character. And he's not like magical at all, so he can't come back at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't really vibe with him, and like, he doesn't really vibe into what we're doing.
So you're just like, do it.
Yeah. So I was just like, you know what? Like, because like most of the time you make a new character when your old character dies.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, dude, just retire him. Like, go have him do something else. Leave the party, and I'll make a new character. And like, I made like a Pied Piper-esque character, summons a bunch of rats, and then just kind of like dips out and lets all his rats fight for him, that kind of stuff. But yeah, no. Other than that, been getting really into Magic and like more card games and stuff. I started kind of playing Pokemon a little bit more, but then I got into Magic and just like been playing that a whole bunch. But
so I know you're into like Pokemon shit. Are you into more the marketing, the stock side, or you into the card game itself playing?
I like collecting more so than playing anything. Yeah.
I feel that, especially with like Pokemon, where it's like, I mean, the TCG is fun, but like you can just look up the winning deck and then just play that.
Yeah, and when you can play something as like, I want to call it like immersive, or like, even though you think that the rules of Magic are unappealing, like
it's unappealing to me. That's
right,
me personally.
Right, like it's still like so much more like expansive than something like a Pokemon, a Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's so cookie cutter.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Some people like that more cookie cutter. It's more simple.
Yeah.
You don't have to fucking understand a million goddamn things. That's what turned me off of Magic.
Okay,
too.
right, and I get
There's
that.
a lot to it.
Right, yeah, it's just different strokes for different folks, if you will, you know, and yeah, so I'm into the collecting side more than the playing, but I respect the player base of any TCG. That's what makes the TCG most of the time, you know? Like,
exactly, because they're the ones that are like
buying the damn product,
buying and selling, and like actually like rolling the economy, where it's like collectors are just gonna sit on it until it's worth 200x what they paid for
exactly.
it. So.
They're keeping the aftermarket existent. Essentially.
Is Magic like? Do people collect Magic cards? Really,
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, it is a thing too. I didn't know if that was like as big of a thing.
Because that's where essentially every other card game comes from.
But the nice thing about Magic is like when you're playing it, you can have something called a proxy, where it's like you just print off the card and you just put it into your deck and you can still play with it. If you're playing like actual like tournaments and stuff, you can't use proxies.
But most smaller things don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Like if you're just like at a card shop or whatever, like you can just use a proxy of a card. But like there's cards out there with, you know, $700 that are like super good in most like hands and stuff and like all that. And like the thing that Wizards has been doing with like, they have been doing like crossovers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Lord of the Rings.
Because I know there was some D&D cards,
One Ring.
or whatever, but that type of crossover themselves. But
Yep, and so like they use a lot of the same resources from Dungeons and Dragons, because like they own all the licensing and all that, so they can get away with it. But like the Lord of the Rings decks were really sick. The Doctor Who ones that they just came out with were pretty cool. But the one I'm most hyped for is next spring. They're making Fallout. Decks and stuff, and I'm already like planning on building Caesar's Legion deck, where it's just like build a bunch of soldiers, sacrifice soldiers to just like get a bunch of different effects out and stuff.
So you're
like that.
into the crossovers. You're not.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Fuck this gimmicky. You're not like that.
Yeah, no, I'm not like into like the actual like competitive side of playing Magic. Okay. I like the like real casual side.
Yeah,
and just
having fun with the thing.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah.
But like I've been getting my ass handed to me by the guys at the card shop lately, because like I've been borrowing decks, and like you know, kind of looking, because, like, I'm decently new at it.
Mm-hmm.
I played it when I was, like, in high school, but I didn't play Commander. I just played, like, the one-on-one games and stuff. But, like, now that, like, I'm actually, like, I got friends that are more into it, that kind of stuff, I was getting sick of getting my ass handed to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to shoot for second place every time, and I bought a deck that basically you just, like, buff everyone else, and then they can't attack you if they're buffed, and it's like, all right, sick. I'm just going to make one person really strong, let him kill the other two, and then just be like, I concede.
I think that was something that might have turned me off from it, too, is I played a game there or whatever. Like, he just gave me a deck. One thing that was annoying is he was trying to tell me how to run it the whole time, which, like, I appreciate it because I didn't know what I was doing, but still, I was like, I kind of want to just...
Like, let me pilot my own deck.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But then this other dude that was playing there is, like, casually... Dude was, like, targeting me, and I was like, dude, this is my first game. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Why are you prioritizing killing me first? Like...
But if you're using one of Kike's decks, he's probably like, oh... Like, shit's gonna start ramping up real fast. I need to
it takes one turn, like...
Yep, that kind of stuff. I was playing their, like, tournament night at Kike's card shop last night, and Kike was letting me use his rat deck that I love so much.
Just he was telling me about that rat deck that day, actually.
Dude, that rat deck...
Did that happen to inspire the character you made?
One specific card in there, like, I was like, it's, like, not even one of the strongest cards in that deck, but I just love the art of it, and I was like, just kind of like looking up, you know, different, like, how you could, like, basically make that Pied Piper kind of thing work, and, like, everything just kind of, like, fell into place, and like, I was like, all right, sick, and like, if it's just like, you know, a cyberpunk dystopian city kind of vibe, it's like, there's gonna be rats everywhere, like, there's not gonna be giants everywhere for my fairy character,
I feel
kind of thing, but it's just like, I can just summon as many rats as I want, and I took a spell that's called Blink. So basically, you have a 50-50 shot at the end of every one of your turns. You, like, roll for it, and you'll just, like, blink into the ethereal plane so no one can hit you. But all your rats just stay in the material plane and just, like, attack everything for you. I was like,
pretty sick.
That's pretty sick. And I was like, that worked out well. And, like, neither of the spell to summon rats and the spell to blink out of existence, neither of those are bard spells. But I'm playing a bard, and bards can steal spells from other classes.
Oh, shit.
Like, they can only get a couple. But I was like, I'm just going to take those two and, like, be done with my character. My build's finalized. I only have, like, 50 HP. I just put nothing into my defenses. I was like, I just want to hit them once, get out of there, and let my rats take care of the rest. So, but...
The character doesn't need HP. You ain't been focused
on
that.
There.
He just dips.
Yeah. Exactly. So, that kind of thing. But, yeah, no, like I was saying, though, Kike's been letting me play that rat deck and, like, stuff like that, and, like, I finally, like, it finally clicked yesterday when I was playing with it, like, how OP it can actually be, and it's like, oh, I see where all the infinite combos are, where it's like, all right, can anyone stop me? No? Okay, I create 1,000,000 rats that do 1,000,000 damage, even though they all only have 1 health, and, like, just wipe the table. But Sav was, like, our buddy Sav was just, like, every time he would just be like, I stop all damage this round, so you gotta wait till your next turn. I was like, all right, cool. And then I went around, and, like, some dude was building up, like, these creatures that were just doing, like, massive damage. And I was like, lucky for me, I have the same card. So I was like, I stop all combat damage. You can't kill my rats this turn. And then it got back to me, and Sav was like, actually, I can still use that card. I can use it twice, so you actually can't hit him. And then the guy was able to clear me out, and I was just like, Sav, that was real shitty of you to play for second place, but I get it. So I was like, I'm going to create a deck all around playing for second place. Either that or first place, if, like, the game goes on long enough, because, like, the commander card of that one is from one of the newer sets, and basically it's like, you put these enchantments out called auras, and, like, that's how you buff people or debuff them or whatever. And at the end of your turn, based on how many auras you have out on the battlefield, you heal that much health, and you deal damage to people that can't be blocked, like, straight to their health bar. So it's like, all right, well, now I got 7 out. This game's over in 4 turns if people can't actually do anything.
Right?
Yeah. And, like, her passive ability is the one where it's like, if you have an aura on someone else's creature, they can't attack you.
Oh, shit.
So you just put it on their biggest, baddest guy, and you're like, well, he's a little stronger now, but you can't hit me with it, so like,
right.
doesn't matter.
Just sick them on your other enemies.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sick them all on Saab because he's been being a real dick to me in Magic lately. But and like,
that's what friends are for, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And like that just reminds me of like playing Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid and just like my friends just like absolutely demolishing me in like the most dickhead ways and just like Pot of Greed just like constantly and just like drawing cards.
I don't even
like,
understand how Yu-Gi-Oh's played.
Oh, really?
Played it. Yeah, I looked at because you gave me a Yu-Gi-Oh card and fucking other Zach also gave me a Yu-Gi-Oh card. And I don't know how it's played. I looked at the card, it's dope. But
You got
I'm
like
I don't
attack,
understand.
defense,
Something
and in the text box giving you the effect and.
Yeah, just read the card, man.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it, bro. It's fucking could be in Vietnamese for all I care.
Yeah, and like
It does
Yu-Gi-Oh is
get
one
hairy.
of those things where it's like if you didn't stick with it since you were a kid, it's kind of hard to get back into it because
I
they
was
like,
never with it. That's the problem
yeah,
too.
Exactly.
It's
But they
gotten-
just like ramped like
It's gotten far,
everything.
far
Yeah.
away from
And
what it originally was.
but what I was gonna tell you at that trivia night where I was like, I'm gonna save it for the podcast was when I was a kid, I actually had all 5 pieces of Exodia, but I was a dumbass kid and I lost them.
Damn.
I like lost like the left leg and like the right arm, and I was like,
How did you get them? Like, was it like, because I also had them, but it was like I was out on the blacktop in the schoolyard, like looking for trades, trying to.
I only had to trade for 1 piece of it. I pulled 4.
You were pulling them?
Yeah.
Damn.
But like, and like, I was, like, my family was not into like buying me Yu-Gi-Oh cards
Yeah,
like
you
that.
didn't
Like
have
my
money
family
like
was
that.
not loaded like that.
I feel
But
you.
like, so I just got like super lucky. It'd be
Yeah.
like every like 4 to like 7 packs, I would just be like, yo, I got the body now.
Yeah.
What's up?
Fuck.
Like completely useless because I don't have the like arm and like the head, but like sick. I'm getting there. And like once I got the head, I was like, all right, I just need like that last leg, and just like asking all my buddies, and like most people didn't have it or
Right.
like, that kind of shit.
Hard
like,
as fuck to find.
and that was like before like internet trading and all that shit
Right,
was
going
on.
right
like,
online and finding it. No.
But yeah, no, and that was super sick. I won 1 game with it, and then yeah, my friends didn't like want to play if I had that shit in my deck. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like you just win. It's
Right.
like, but now I feel like every trading card game has that one card where it's just like, yeah, you just like win if you meet the certain condition.
The board breaker, if
Yeah,
you will.
but, like,
yeah.
It's just like, it's just kind of accepted now. Whereas like back in the day, you're just like, not cool. Like I actually want to play.
It's also kind of like
That's how I feel about it still.
it's like the natural like progression or like scaling of a TCG. If it's around long enough, it's gotta go to that point almost, you
Yep.
know. And that's why they try to like introduce different formats or different variations of formats in order to
spice it up.
bring it back to a time or reset the game. But like at the end of the day, the game itself is still gonna continue forward the way
Yep.
it's always been,
Yep.
right?
100%.
And you can either get with it or not play the mainstream thing and just play for fun like you were describing earlier.
Yep. And like you still got like dudes that are just like old heads. They're like, I just play like 7th edition format and that's it. And like they play with a very specific subsect of people that
Yeah.
are like, we just play like cards up to this date.
Yeah.
Like, and like we use this rule set, and it's like,
It's like
all
we
right,
all agree
cool.
on it though. It's
But,
If
cool.
that
like,
works for you.
if it works for you, that's cool. You're kind of gonna ostracize yourself from the rest of the
There's a
community.
lot you're missing out on.
Yeah,
Straight
and it's
up.
like you're gonna run into a lot of dudes that are like still playing that game, but they're playing the newest edition. They want to talk about like the new stuff that's coming out because
Yeah.
they're already bored with like that stuff. So
Yeah, what are
Right.
you gonna talk about with shit like that? If it's old, it's been done with. Motherfuckers talked about it, they know about it. You're good.
Yep.
It's not like, oh,
Right.
dude, this new fucking card they're about to drop, or
There's no
this
hype.
new pull. Yeah, exactly. There's no hype. That's why they got to keep dropping cards, and that's also why they got to add, the instant win kind of card with some condition or some shit, because that's a fucking hype thing to get if you get it.
Yep.
It's like, oh, fucking A, for real. You're playing that card, but if you get that, it's hell yeah, I got this. Play that.
Yep.
Yeah.
In
So-
that deck that I'm building, it should be here. I bought it on Wednesday. It should be here by Thursday for our next Commander League or whatever. But there's one card in there that's like, it's like 4 or 5 mana cost, something like that. But it says on the card, it's like if you have 40 or more health, which is like your base starting health, you win. Like, that's just it.
Oh,
You don't have to attack anyone. You just win. but like the commander that I'm doing just like slowly drains people while healing yourself.
Right.
So it's like, and it stops other people from attacking you. So like if they're not casting like spells to like directly hit you, odds are you're gonna be at like 40 health pretty consistently. You're gonna be at like 60, maybe even 80 health. Like by the time you get that card out, and it's just like, all right, I just win. But like I'm gonna see how like that feels to play, because like again, I play casually. I'm not looking for the win.
I feel like shit like that would be. It's like that gets boring too. Playing it. It's fun the first couple times, and it's like, all right, yeah, we're over it. I want a challenge.
Yeah, switch it up. Yeah.
And like our buddy was showing me this card that he has. It's like a $700-800 card, but he'll just like throw it into his deck, like take out like a basic like mana card or whatever, and just replace it.
We're playing this today.
Yeah, and he's like, it's called Divine Intervention, and basically it's like you guys got 2 turns to try and win, otherwise this whole game ends in a draw. And like you can use it in like competitive stuff and like all that, so it's like you can really screw up like a bracket. And it's like, well, if you're going off of like a points-based thing and you're more points ahead of the other guy, it's like draw, now I win, because like I'm just have more points based on how the bracket rolled out,
right?
Stuff like that. So like, yeah, that kind of stuff. It's like, it's cool, it's funny, like, but like if that's gonna be a thing every single time I play, I don't want to play against that kind of thing. So like, so like if I'm just like instant winning because of one card every single time, I'm gonna take that card out so I can like actually like have fun,
more enjoyable experience.
Exactly.
Being challenged is fun. It's fun to overcome challenges and obstacles, not to just fucking win and get everything you want.
Yep.
So
exactly. And like I've been getting like more into like actually learning how to build a deck lately, where it's like, all right, you find someone's, you know, base deck online, but then you can like, there's amazing websites out where it's like, yo, like if you have these cards in your deck, these cards have really good synergy with it.
Yeah, the synergy.
So maybe like look into it, because it's like, all right, well, like I have my new deck is going to be like mainly like warlocks and like auras and stuff like that. But there's a couple spells where it's like vampire creatures coming out. And now you're doing, whenever you deal damage to someone, it's actually double damage, or you heal for that amount. So like I'm either doing double the damage or I'm healing for double the amount, because I heal for as much as I do in the first place anyways. So it's like you can start stacking up pretty crazy like that. Damn. But it's like, do you really want to have a vampire in your deck that's like really, you know, doesn't fit in and that kind of stuff? So because like my deck is like split mana colors. I'm doing like a black-white deck, and like a lot of those vampire cards, it's like it's all black. So it's like you need to have enough mana to get it out, otherwise you're just gonna be sitting with a useless card in your hand, just taking up slots and like stuff like that. So what's the coolest card you've ever pulled? Any TCG?
Sure. Probably it would be a modern card, a Starlight Rare. I don't know if you are familiar with those.
I'm not.
It's basically just like a very sparkly. It's like the new modern chase rarity for Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's it.
A Starlight Rare, elemental hero.
Okay.
It's called the Phoenix Enforcer.
Yeah.
But you know, they're like $100, $200 cards. But people have big problems with like modern rare cards like that, because like what makes that a $200 card? The fact that
it's like manufactured rarity.
Yeah, like the fact that like the company made it like you have to buy 5 boxes in order to pull it. Like it is what it is to me though. Like the fact that I got to just go to the store, buy a couple packs and pull one and have that luck, that experience. That's like, I love that.
That's the best.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Probably when I was a kid, I pulled I need to like go on eBay and buy a new one, because I lost it too. I lost all my cards when I was a kid. I'm so sad now that I'm like a nerdy adult.
If it makes you feel any better, Dan had like a whole shoebox full of Yu-Gi-Oh cards my mom sold at a rummage sale.
Dude, I did that shit too, man. Got rid of a bunch at rummages and
But yeah, no, I had a Japanese first edition holographic Zapdos.
Oh my gosh.
When I was a kid, and I was just like, I have no idea what this says, but it is so cool. And I was just like enamored by it.
The Japanese quality too, like, is different. Like, it's just so like the foiling, the actual like material that the card's made out of, everything is just like higher quality over there. You know, they cut costs over here. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is kind of funny, because like normally the American standard is really high. But
you know,
like,
we got hella money.
The American standard these days is buying shit from China.
Yeah, unfortunately.
The modern American standard. Yeah.
But yeah, no.
That's dope though. That's crazy.
I can't remember if I pulled that one or like if someone gave that one to me, but like that was the card that just like that had a special place in my heart, and then forgot about it for a couple years, and then I was like, oh shit, what happened to that card? And I was like, lost. Just lost to the ages. I found my like old box of like, cause like me and my brother just kind of basically had like a shared collection of a lot of, and we had all the first gen cards.
Oh yeah.
Like from when we were kids. And, like, it's probably still in storage somewhere, so those cards are probably worth a decent chunk of change. There's a couple hollows in there and stuff like that.
I'd imagine.
And, like, we never played the game or anything. We just kind of, like, looked at them in the binder, so they're all probably, you know,
pretty
PSA
minty.
7.5 or better. So,
Right.
like, they're probably worth a decent amount. But, like, also, like, as a kid, I was like, oh, this Doug Trio, so sick. It's worth, like, 10 cents. But I'm like, this is the coolest card ever.
Yeah.
Right.
And, like, if you hype it up enough to your friends when you're young, it's like, they're going to start believing you, and now you're manufacturing your own price point.
You know about ghost rares or no?
No.
Okay, so it's just another high rarity, but it's like the one before Starlight rares were out. And, like, that's from when I was coming up as a kid. I got some fucking Starlight rares off of exactly what you just described. Like, convincing them that, dude, this card is so freaking sick, dude. Like, don't you want it? And, like, they believe the hype. They're like, I don't want this, like, one that looks all ghosty and stuff. Like, I'll take that. And I still got those to this day, you know? It's like,
Bro, scamming people out here.
Well, it's just like, at the time, I had no idea of the value of anything. I just knew I liked the look of that. Yeah.
But now I see, like, 9-10-year-olds at the card shop, and they're like
They
on
pull-
TCG Player.
Oh.
They're like haggling with the card shop owner. I'm
Literally.
like, what are you doing? Like,
It's
just
a
buy a
different
pack
world.
for $6 and like start at the bottom. Like, but yeah,
Dude.
no, completely different world nowadays. But
Dude,
like,
literally.
and like, dude, I remember when I was a kid, my family went up north to my grandpa's cabin that he built. Like, he built his house on a lake, like had all the property, all that stuff. Real old school guy. But like, it's like way out there. No internet. TV sucks. Like all that. And my brother started making his own card game based off of all the characters from The Legend of Zelda. All the items, everything. It was like super balanced. He was like 14 doing it. I was like,
that's crazy.
I was like, I hope one day I just like go through like some old box in our basement. My parents are like halfway to hoarder status, so like there's boxes everywhere, floor to ceiling type shit. But like, I just want to find those cards and just be like, go to like some Chinese manufacturer and be like, yo, like print these out so I can give it to my brother as like a birthday gift or something, and like play the game against him and like all that. And it was like some of the Zelda like stuff from like the Capcom like Oracle games and like that stuff, like with Boo and the like flying bear guy and all that.
I'm not familiar with any of that.
He spent just like an entire week while we were up there just making this whole set of things.
Super like imaginative.
Super imaginative, like all the items like worked in the rule set but still felt like the items from the games, and like all the characters and stuff, and like obviously like your Ganondorf, your Zelda, your Link, like they were like the high tier cards, but it's like if someone else has, you know, certain item sets and stuff like that, they're just gonna body you. It doesn't matter what cards you have. And like I was just like going through them like as a kid, and I was just like amazed. I was like, this feels better than like any of the Digimon cards we have, any of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I was just like, it just like never came to fruition. We were way too young, and like that kind of thing.
You didn't have means to make your own.
And you couldn't really do Zelda shit. Nintendo would sue you.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is. We'll buy the licensing.
Oh, you will now.
Yeah. Well, not now.
Yeah.
Because Zelda's just like gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like there's a huge spike of like Ocarina of Time. And it kind of like dropped off a little bit, and then Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom came out. It's just like so insane. And like my daughter at church, because like I volunteer in the Sunday school and stuff, she was like running around asking all the kids. She had like a tally system. She was like, what's your favorite game? And she like, her favorite game's Minecraft. So she was like hoping everyone would like say that, but like all the kids were just like Zelda,
Fortnite,
Zelda. There was one vote for Fortnite, and I was just like, dang, that's crazy that like Zelda is still just like number one for all the kids. Like,
I'm glad kids are playing that shit though instead of Fortnite.
Right.
Dude, I feel like more 40-year-olds are playing Lego Fortnite.
They are.
I swear, bro.
Crazy.
They are.
TK plays so much of it.
Yeah, Dan was telling me how Kike was trying to get him to hop on or some shit.
Yeah, and Dan was like, dude, you won't even play Minecraft with me.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You were there. You was bitching about it.
Yeah, that was so funny.
Bro,
But yeah, no, like, and like, dude, my brother is just like the big nerd inspiration for me.
I was gonna ask that. Like,
he's more into like the tabletop role playing stuff. Like, he was into the cards as a kid, but like he fell out of it super fast, and I was just kind of like slowly trailing behind him, and like that, like I always kind of followed in his footsteps, but like did it a step better, kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, no, not a knock to him, but like
in your own way.
In my own way, yeah. There was a lot of originality, that kind of stuff, and like growing up, I was just like, he was the guitar player in my family. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let that be your thing. And like out of college, he just kind of like stopped playing and all that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard Dan ever talk about the band Abide by Me.
They sound familiar.
They were like super big in Milwaukee metal scene for a while.
I feel like, was he in a band while they were around?
Yeah, so
because I was gonna say, because I feel like I might have.
I'm pretty sure Anderson Hall played with them at some point. But my brother was one of the original guys in that band and like all that stuff. So like, and like he was in a bunch of like, you know, bigger local bands in the Oshkosh area when he was in college and that kind of stuff. And like when I go out to like shows and stuff, I'll see like at Sad Boy Saturdays, Sammy, who hosts it, he was the bass player for Sleep Therapist Sleep. And like I just have people like, they recognize me, but they're not sure where. And it's like, oh no, I was going to your shows when I was like 12 because my brother was 4 years older than me, like that kind of stuff. So like I just like let the music thing be his, and then like he stopped, and I was just like, one day I was just like playing video games with my friends. We were all drunk, and I was just like, man, these guys are losers. Like they just play video games every night, get drunk. And I was like, wait, the only way that I know that is because I'm here playing video games with them, drinking.
Gotta be one to know one.
And I was like, you guys need hobbies. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a hobby. Picked up a guitar, sucked ass for 2 years straight.
How old were you?
22, 21, 22. And now I'm 5-6 years in. So like, I mean, obviously you hear the riffs that I write and send over to Dan and shit like that. So yeah, a lot of our newer stuff's gonna be pretty sick once we find, you know, new drummer and all that. But like,
how can you describe your playing, man?
Just vibe. Like honestly, vibe. Like I really like a lot of like the like grungy like alt, that kind of stuff.
I like that too.
But it's like I didn't really listen to a lot of that kind of stuff growing up. It was just like my brother was into metal and like metalcore and that kind of stuff. And like that's what I was into, and like that pop punk stuff, and like just a Warped Tour kid, like honestly,
through and through,
like, and like I was real gatekeepy, and I was just like, if you don't listen to these bands, you're probably not in the scene. Actually, you just like a few songs, that kind of shit.
All that.
But then like once I like was like 22, 23, I started getting back into like new metal, grunge, that kind of stuff, and like I really fucked with like the tones of like the guitars and stuff like that, and started understanding.
You found a sound.
Yeah, I found a sound, and then I was like, I'm just gonna make my own shit with it, and like that's kind of the thing is like Dan was in a bunch of bands and stuff, so like he's kind of used to writing in a certain style. I've never been in a band. I never played with other people growing up, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like all my stuff is just like super original.
Open-ended.
It's like, yeah, and it's like I never learned how to play other people's shit. I just jam by myself. I'm like, that sounds sick.
That's cool.
And like I'll just be sitting there with a homie, like, you know, it's like 11 at night, and like I just like grab my guitar and I just like play something sick, and they're like, dude, that's the sickest riff I've ever heard. I'm like, hold up, let me send this to your brother. Like, so how do you send him just a video?
So how do you normally like go about writing? Is it like that where it's just kind of you're just jamming and this is
I'm
sick?
Just jamming.
It's never like you sit down and like I'm gonna write some shit. It's just kind of it happens if it does. And
dude, that's like the worst thing to do is to just be like, I'm gonna sit here and write something. You're never gonna come up with anything you're satisfied with.
Do you ever have like maybe a progression, a melody in your head, and then you go like try to channel it on the guitar? Or
yeah, sometimes I'll be just like sitting there at work and I'm just like, dude, I wish I had a guitar right now, because I'm just like hitting that inspiration moment, and then I'll write down like a quick like, hey, I want to use these chords, and then once I get home I'm like, all right, just do those chords and like the idea I had. But like if I don't write it down, like it's lost by the time I get home, kind of thing. But it's just like once you learn kind of like how chords like get structured, and it's just like you just kind of use these, these chord progressions and stuff like that, where it's like, all right, you use this is like the first of the key, then the sixth, then the fourth, then the fifth.
You realize what goes together.
Yeah, and like a lot of your songs, like it's just like, all right, it's kind of like I try to remain. There's a word called samey, where it's just like everything sounds the same, nothing ever changes, that kind of stuff. So like I try and change that kind of stuff up, and like once in a while, like I'll hear a song that like I'm like I really fuck with this chord progression kind of thing, but like I don't really like the chords that they're using exactly. So I'll just like
rework it a bit.
Rework it, yeah.
I
and
like
like eventually it's just like you ain't like it's nothing like the original inspiration. And then like that's around the time where I'm like, yo Dan, this was kind of the inspiration for the song. Here's the like couple riffs that I wrote and like that kind of shit. But like and like my brother was the same way, self-taught as a teenager, that kind of stuff. But like dude, he was so talented. I remember in high school, like he was playing like the hardest Paramore riffs and like all the like metalcore riffs from like Devil Wears Prada and like Greeley Estates and stuff like that. And like I wish Greeley Estates was still around, by the way. Dude, that band was so good.
I know like a few songs by them because of Dan, but
yeah,
never got like super into them, to be honest.
That was how you knew someone like wasn't a poser, was like in high school. If they liked Greeley Estates, it's like, all right, you get it, like that kind of thing. You're familiar with the band A Word Alive, right?
Yeah.
So the bass player from Greeley Estates is Telly, the vocalist for The Word Alive. So
I didn't know that.
That's where that kind of went off.
Yeah, I got into The Word Alive because the first metal band I like really, really got into was Escape the Fate.
Yeah.
I would say that they're the reason I got into metal, and obviously he started The Word Alive, and they're like, yeah, got us some name recognition? Fuck out of here.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, no, and like, so like, just kind of followed in my brother's footsteps on that, just kind of like self-taught, that kind of thing. And then like
my brother like look up like different chords and how to play them, or were you just literally strumming at it like, oh, that sounds cool, all right, fucking remember that?
It's when they zoom in on a music video on like the guitar player's hand, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's how they do that. And I'm just like, all right, well, you do it here, and you can do it here and here and here. And it's just like
videographers take note.
Yeah, right.
No, bro, like I'm not no wizard on the guitar besides what I can do, right?
Yeah.
But like check it out. It's all like I had a couple buddies that played it as well, and I would be like simplifying it as much as I can. It's all positioning and like feel.
Yeah.
Like positioning
100%.
and feel. Like that's like, and I know it sounds so simple, but like there's a lot to that positioning and feel.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's what it is.
I'm at the point now where it's like my next guitar I want to get like doesn't even have those little dots on the like
inlays.
Yeah, it doesn't have the inlays, it doesn't have the fret markers, because it's like I'm rarely looking at the neck of the guitar at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just like
it's just muscle memory.
I can hear as I slide into like where the next note is if I'm using like the same like chord shape and stuff. It's like I can hear the slide and the progression of it, and it's like I don't need to look where I am. I hear it.
You feel
like,
real
sonically
connected with it.
Yeah.
That's
and,
dope. What is the next type of guitar you would like though?
Ooh, dude. So there's I believe they're a British company called Chapman Guitars.
Oh yeah.
I've always just like shat on people who play Telecasters. I'm just like, dude, you play a Telecaster, like whatever. And like I'm really into like Fender offset guitars. I play a Jazzmaster right now. But Chapman
got me a Jag, bro.
Nice. Yeah, I was playing a Jag yesterday. I was playing Super Heaven's youngest daughter at Guitar Center, and like the coolest dude ever, just like New York gothic kind of dude, just like was just like behind me, and my buddy's like, "Yo, dude," and I'm like playing the riff. I look over my shoulder, and this dude's just like. And I was like, hell yeah, dude, like that's what's up. And it was on a Jag, but yeah, no, I love my Jazzmaster.
Those offset guitars, that vibe.
Dude, yeah.
And like by offset, not familiar with guitars at all.
So you know how like your standard metal guitar has like the two prongs that come off the front, or like the Telecaster has like the rounded over with the prong on the bottom.
Yeah.
The offset is the one that's like the peanut shaped one where it's kind of like distorted a little.
Where it like
instead of it being like a uniform, it's like offset.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And I play like the biggest version of that. The story behind my guitar, so sick. I paid like I was like looking for a jazz master. Didn't have a lot of money, but it was like I'm looking for like my first real guitar.
A good
like,
guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I saw some dude selling one on Facebook Marketplace, like out in Madison, and he wanted like $200 for it. And I was like, you know what, like whatever, sounds good, as long as everything works. Like I'm cool with it. And I was like talking to the kid. And he was like, yeah, I built it with my dad. Like we bought all the parts, blah blah blah. And like the body of my guitar, like they didn't paint it, they just stained it dark green.
Oh.
So it just like looks super sick with like the red pick guard and stuff.
Damn.
And I like one day I was like, you know what, like I gotta get my guitar set up like how it should be, because like they just did not set it up properly at all. They just kind of put all the parts together. And so I was like setting it up, and I realized the wiring was just a mess. So I was like, I'm gonna bring this into Guitar Center. But like as I was like screwing with it, I was like looking up all the parts and stuff. And it was like, dude sold me a like $1,400 guitar for $200.
What?
And I was like, yo, sick. So I bring it to Guitar Center, and like they do like their like insurance quote, like what the guitar is worth, that kind of shit. Because turns out the dude wired the bridge and the neck pickup backwards. So like I was like, dude, why does my guitar just sound wrong now? But yeah, no, so they wired it back up, and I get the receipt with the like insurance quote on it. It was like $1,600. I was like,
wow,
dude, I got a $1,600 guitar for $200. Like that's
a good return on investment right there, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's gonna be like the guitar like I will never get rid of, blah blah blah. Like when I pass away, it's going to my daughter, that kind of shit. Like
that's dope,
that thing. But like I want to get something that's like, because like a Jazz Master is like the heaviest guitar, like aside from like your OG Gibson, you know super thick, that kind of shit. But like I want to get something that's like more playable on stage. So I was looking at a Chapman Telecaster. I think it's called the ML3, something like that.
All right.
And it's just like, it's got like a red back, black front, and just like no fret markers, like anything
clean,
like that.
Very clean.
Very, very clean.
What's the pickup configuration?
I think it's single, and then the bridge pickup is a split coil, but in a single coil like fashion.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that kind of shit.
They got some cool designs now with that.
Dude,
that's
I
crazy.
know. And like now people make like custom coils and stuff like that. But yeah, no. So going way back was like my brother just like inspired me to do all that shit, and he was the one that got me into D&D. And like now he's exploring more tabletop RPGs and stuff like that.
Hell
and like last Tuesday for our buddy's birthday, he wanted to DM like it's like this Swedish made smaller tabletop game called Morkborg. And Morkborg.
Sounds Swedish.
Yeah,
right, it really do though.
Very Swedish, and it's very just like gothic, just out of the Middle Ages kind of thing. Like technology's finally starting to become used in like people's lives and stuff, and all that crazy shit. But like we were doing like this thing where it was like we had to kill this dude that was like basically turning people into goblins, as like it was a curse is how you turn into goblins. But he was selling the antidote and just like hiking up the price because more people were coming into goblins. So we had to like go take care of that dude. It was so sick. But the thing is, like, if a goblin attacks you or like calls you its enemy, if you don't kill that goblin within a week, you're gonna turn into a goblin.
Okay, right.
So like you have to kill every goblin you come across. Otherwise, you're going to turn into a goblin.
Hell yeah.
So, like, that was super sick. And, like, him and my buddy that ran that, my brother and my buddy that ran that, they were at the whole tabletop convention that was in Madison, like, 2 months ago or whatever. So they got to try out all these different tabletop RPGs. And I'm just like, dude, like, I'm so just, like, over 5th edition because I've been playing it for 5 years. And, like, there's some that pique my interest. Somewhere I'm just like, all right, I'm going to need some, like, heavy convincing and a really good DM to like get me into this, because I'm not gonna sit through this and just be like, all right, what are the rules, what do you want me to do, like blah blah blah. That shit gets real boring. But like I was adamantly surprised at how well my buddy was able to DM it, and like since he knew it was just gonna be a 1-day thing, like very straightforward, but it didn't feel like we were being railroaded kind of thing. So
it's
like
a hard thing to do too.
Yeah. But like I want to DM again just to like once my buddy's done with the campaign that he's been writing, because he like wrote this whole story like 2 years ago, and he was like, I want like my friends to actually like be a part of this story.
Right,
and then he's probably gonna write like a second version of it that like is just like a different take on everything that happened in his story.
So like how there's Full Metal Alchemist and there's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Exactly, just like that. And so, but like once he's done with that, we're gonna be doing the Fallout role playing game, which is just like heavy like resource management kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's based off of like Fallout 4, where you can put all the mods on your guns and
right.
on your armor and stuff like that. And like we've like on the weeks that like one person can't make it to Dungeons and Dragons, because like my buddy's thing is very story based, so everyone needs to be there for that.
Yeah.
I've ran probably 4 sessions of it now, and every single time everyone's just like hyping me up, all this stuff, and it's just like when I'm writing like the quests and stuff, I just write it in the same, you know, fashion that a Fallout quest is written in, and like that kind of stuff, and just like it flows so smoothly. The book is written like absolute garbage, and there's a million typos, and it's like over here this person's called a survivor, but over here it's called a wastelander, but they're actually the same thing. And it's like, dude, when I'm indexing that, it makes no sense. But I've read through the book, you know, 7 times at this point, front to back, so I'm like, I know where everything is, blah blah blah. And like I bought a bunch of iPads refurbished from your brother, so I'm gonna be downloading all the PDFs and everyone's character sheets and stuff. Because, like, for a resource game like that, when, like, there's, you know, it's not just, like, arrows and crossbow bolts. You got your 10mm ammo, your 9mm, 45, 44 Magnum, and you got to track all of that. And
plus, like, you got to get all that adhesive, bro. Dude. It's anything like Fallout 4.
Exactly.
You need that fucking adhesive.
Yeah, it's like, it's like rare material, uncommon material, and, like, common material in it, but it's just, like, it plays the same as, like, how Fallout 4 does, and, like, that kind of stuff. I wasn't super into Fallout 4, but like
it was
as a TTRPG, dude, it worked.
Fallout 4 was my first Fallout game.
Oh.
So I played that and I was like, oh, this game's so fucking dope. And then I went and played New Vegas and was like, wow, Fallout 4 is ass.
Yeah. I started with 3 when I was like 12. Had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even make it to the first town. I ran across a bunch of raiders because I just ran straight south to like these ruins that are, which I know now are infested with raiders.
That was me the first time I played Skyrim, and then I got bodied by a giant.
Yep.
100 feet in the air, and I was like, okay, fuck this game.
Yep. And like, I realized that the RNG of like one of the raiders, where it's like, there's a turret above them, so the turret's gonna fuck you up if you're level 1 already. But this raider either gets a flamethrower or a missile launcher, and he had a missile launcher, so like, and I like saved like 10 seconds before the dude shot me with a missile. So I'm like trying to be sneaky, but it's like, it's pointless at this point. Like, he already knows I'm there. And like, my last save file before that is 2 hours ago because I was just running through the wasteland and there's no autosave. And
fucking yeah, my first time playing New Vegas too, I ended up quitting and starting a new character like a little bit later because I didn't listen to them when they were like, oh yeah, head down through Novak and around the mountain pass, whatever. So I just tried to beeline to New Vegas and was getting bodied by Deathclaws, and I was like, fuck this game.
And Cazadors.
Yeah, dude,
the Cazadors were the worst. But yeah, no, I got
fucking Cazador.
And like that game, like that's the game series I spent, you know, probably 10,000 hours into at this point. Like, it's insane how much Fallout I played. But like, if I play New Vegas, like, I can beat the game in an hour if I really want to. Same with Fallout 3. It's like I just run past everything. Deathclaws don't bother me none.
That's what I felt like I didn't like about Fallout 3. I felt like it was easier to just kind of go through it and like, I don't know, it didn't grip me as much. There wasn't as much.
Well, you can also
choice to it. I felt like
you can also skip the first 3/4 of the game if you know where your dad is, because you can just run to the vault where he's at.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, you can just run to the garage. It's not locked or anything. You can just go in, sit in the pod, go into the simulation, get your dad out, and just be like, all right, let's go save the world. And it's like, dude, you didn't have to find shit. Like, I'm still running in there with a 10mm pistol. And it's like,
right, I did not know that.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no, I've just like been gaming, and like I really just like wanted to stop playing video games. Like I was saying, when I was just like playing with my buddies and felt like they were all losers, and I was like, let's look in the mirror real quick here. So I was like, play guitar, and like now I like have a bunch of fun with my buddies, just like playing tabletop games and stuff. And like now I'm getting into Magic, and like I'm just like making a bunch of like really genuine connections. And like, let's be honest, nerds are way nicer people than everyone that's going out clubbing on the weekends.
Well, that's because they've been bullied by all the people going out clubbing. They know what it's like, so they don't want to do that to other people.
Well, they've also been bullied by me. Like, dude, I was a dick.
Well, yeah, they're gonna bully each other.
But yeah, no, and like, so, but like, I still like maintain my social life and stuff. It's just like, I'll be at the club and honestly just like be thinking like, man, I wish my homies were like all free tonight so we could just like do a one shot.
I wish I had my deck right now. And...
yeah, right, dude. Yeah, there's gonna be a day that like
you're in the club and you challenge some motherfucker to some random motherfucker.
Dude, I pull out the arm blade. I'm like, it's time to duel. Let's go.
I swear.
Ooh, fuck.
Dude, I want to go to a club with the arm blade. See if the bouncer will let me in. If he's a nerd, he'd be like, "Sick, you're in."
Bro, come
VIP.
on in.
Call me Kaiba.
We're on that type of time,
Call me
bro.
Kaiba.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good song name. Call me Kaiba. Dan should name his kid Kaiba. That'd be so sick.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, no. So, I don't know. You haven't played any TTRPGs, have you?
No.
No?
I would give them a whirl.
Yeah.
Sure.
Me and Trevor were talking about possibly getting a different group together, which is like sick.
It wasn't the one with Sav, because I know he was trying to run something in DM shit. He made a Discord chat, added you to it, but then I don't know what was up with it. He didn't respond.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, hit or miss. I think he was trying to run Morkborg, which is just like, it's short. It's like one of those pamphlet style.
Yeah, he said
books.
he wanted to run like a one shot or some shit, and then
I think he's gonna run you guys. He wanted to run you guys through the same thing that like we already ran through, but like it went so well that he might do a different part of the story just to like not diminish how he felt about running that one.
Has he
thing,
DM'd
so.
before? No. So it'll be his first time.
Yeah, and like
I thought he said that, but
yeah, and like. Sometimes you can see it in like new DMs when like people start getting like a little frustrated with the players, and it's like,
yeah,
me, you can't. My coworkers call me tranquil. They're like, stress does not bother him, so it's like
you have to
like do what you want. And
you have to accept a hard time for someone to give it to you. You know what I'm saying?
the worst thing as a DM though, like the worst feeling in the world is telling your player no. It's like I really want you to do what you want to do, but like. It's literally just like not possible. Like the way the rules are set up, like the way the story's set up,
I feel like
the way
that,
your character
dude,
works.
yeah.
It's just like
I tried to work with it because Kike wanted his character to have guns or whatever, and I was like, I don't like the idea of guns in it. And I was like, hey, here, I'll try to meet you in the middle here. They're fucking black powder weapons or whatever. We'll double the fucking damage because they're guns, right?
Yeah.
But you got to take a whole action to reload them, and he was like, oh, that ruins everything for it and shit.
It's like, no, because you're actually going to do more damage because your average is the same.
Yeah.
Because instead of doing like half the damage every time.
But
like,
then with the reload too, I was like, you got to roll like a D6 and on like a 1. I think that's already a D&D rule now. I don't know.
Reload rules are stupid.
If you roll a 1 or a 2, it's like you have a fuck up, and it's also going to cost your bonus action that turn.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're going a gunslinger, like a crossbow person or whatever, and like, most tabletop games, there's normally a like perk that you can get. And
yeah,
D&D,
that's why he got
feats.
this.
It's like you ignore the reloading property on your turn because you're so good with it that you can just like do it real fast. And it's like at most tables that I've played at, it's like when you make your character, you get a free perk. Like just feels good. And if you're doing that kind of character, well, then you're just gonna take that perk, and it's never a problem, anyways.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
it's a good thing to
but
keep
like
in mind for later.
technically, like, because the more you roll, the more you're going to fail. Rolling as a player is something you actually don't want to do as a statistics standpoint because you're more likely to fail. So him actually only attacking every other round is a buff to him.
But then if he misses.
Because
I think another thing I said was like, because they're black powder weapons, I wanted to make them a bit less accurate too, or like shittier at range.
Yep.
Because, well, yeah. It's black
It's
powder.
not rifled.
Exactly.
It's a straight
fucking
barrel,
shitty ass steel ball stuffed into a barrel.
Yeah.
Unrifled.
But it's like also he can go into combat with his gun loaded. So he's already set to do double damage than,
And he was a rogue, so he'd go into combat with it loaded.
Yeah, exactly.
He wanted to be like a pirate and shit, which is dope. That's why I wanted to try to get the black powder weapons to work, because he wanted it, he was a pirate. It was like, it's dope. But
And then you can never, like, anticipate the stupid shit they're gonna do with it, where it's like, yo, can I just, like, fill it to the brim with black powder and then throw it at someone, and then, like, my sorcerer cast firebolt on it, or, like, something easy, and now it's just a huge bomb? It's like, technically, yes, but, like, I have no idea how to, you know, get that set up, blah, blah, blah.
So like, one thing, too, because I was already thinking that before we played, and then the first session we had him in, bro cast silence on a room and shot a dude point blank, and I was like, okay, we got to do something with the guns, because I already was kind of iffy on it, the whole concept, but then you're doing this kind of shit. Got to balance it somehow that I'm comfortable with, because if guns are available, why the fuck ain't everybody got a gun?
Yeah,
I needed a reason for that, too. So...
Yeah, and, like, I don't know, that's where kind of the rule of cool thing just comes in, is, like, you realize eventually the rules already are broken. Like, counterspell as a sorcerer is just the best thing in the world, because, like, if someone casts a spell and you counterspell it and they know counterspell, they can counterspell your counterspell.
I did not know you could counterspell, bro.
Yeah, so they can counterspell your counterspell, but as a sorcerer, you can take the meta magic thing where you can, like, morph your spells and stuff, and you can subtly cast it. Now they can't counterspell your counterspell, and it's like, well, now every mage in the game just, like, is pointless, because, like, there's no way to combat your sorcerer counterspelling you
until you give, like, your fucking your enemies super counterspell. It can't be fucking, can't do no workaround bullshit.
Yeah, so it's just like,
or you just say, hey, this is fucked, so actually you can't counterspell.
Yeah, and that's where, like, legendary resistance comes in on, like, monsters. Like, on high level monsters, it's like they'll have it in the rules where it's like 3 times a day you can just, like, say no and you actually succeed on whatever, because, like, your characters are just not gonna have any fun if everything's going off and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, no, actually, that's just not gonna work. The best thing to do to screw with your party is just anti-magic field. It's like, none of your magic items work, none of your spells work. Then now it's all up to your martial characters. Like, your paladin's half useless because he's half caster. He can't smite. Like,
yeah, that wasn't really a thing for us, because 2 of our characters were martials, and we had 3 people. And Dan was our most OP, and he's just, I shoot them with my bow. All right, that's it. Yep. That's his turn. He's blasting motherfuckers. He did get a really good ass bow, though, that I gave him. Yep. I don't know if you ever played Destiny at all.
A little bit. I wasn't super
There's a bow in there called the Wish Ender, and it does damage on the way in and out, and the arrows over-penetrate. I gave him that.
Gotcha. So it does half piercing.
Yeah, so it does half damage on the way out, and then each next enemy, it reduces the amount by half.
That's sick. Yeah.
So, yeah, he could just line motherfuckers up. And...
That's what's up. Yeah, no, I love just, like...
Because I was like, being a martial is so gay. I want it to be more than just, I shoot this one dude with an arrow. Make it a little bit more, you know...
Yeah, and that's, like, where magic items come in. It's like, dude...
Yeah, exactly.
If you're playing, like, with a party, and you got, like, you know, 2 magic casters and 2 martials, by the time you're giving out magic items, give them to your martials first. Because, like, it gets real stale. And, like, that's kind of what I was, like, facing with my character that I'm retiring in D&D. It's just, like... He was based off of the Giants, so his whole thing is he goes from being a tiny little fairy to being as big as, you know, a single family house, and he just punches stuff, and it's like, that's all he does, is just punch things. He gets big and punches things, and that gets real stale after you do that, you know, 20, 30 times. It's like...
See, but I heard that advice from, like, a YouTube video or some shit of, give your martial characters a magic shit first, so I did that. Then with how I was doing the leveling stupidly. So then Dan did a lot more badass shit. So he would get 2 levels, and then he was way above everybody, and yeah, it was fucked.
Yeah. You learn your lesson real fast.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and, like, you can never go back on it. That's the worst part. It's like, well, you can't take away a level. So, like, yeah, no. So.
Well, we've been going for an hour, a little over. Probably call it here.
Yeah, we can call it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was sick. I really appreciate you having me on.
You should come back on sometime, talk about some other shit.
I'm glad we, like, hung out, because I messaged you and it just got nothing, and Dan was like, I'll text him, and never texted you.
Yeah,
I was like,
Dan won't.
Yeah, it is what it is. But, like, yeah, then we hung out, and I was like, yo, by the way, you're like, oh, I never saw that. Here's my number. I was like, sick.
Yeah, we normally talk more about, like, philosophy, religion shit. I like to get your take on it, because you've imply that you're religious, which I
Yeah,
didn't know. So
no,
I'd like
actually
dive
tonight
into
I'm
that.
doing.
Yeah, you said that on fucking trivia night, so I'm curious to dive
Yeah,
into
no,
that
we
with you,
can
so-
totally
Pick your
get
brain
into that
on
next
some
time.
other stuff. Yeah.
So, you want to plug anything to the?
You know, honestly, catch me at the card shop.
Catch you at the card shop.
Yeah. If you ever have any questions about D&D and ruling and stuff like that, if you ever want advice on anything, hit me up on Instagram. It's Nate, spelled ITSN8 .sensor, SENSOR. So
Put the link in the
you
description.
can throw the
for
link
you.
in the description, and then if you click on my link on Instagram, I got my link tree to the band and stuff and all that stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah. No. So, and it was great talking to you about, rarity of cards and shit. 'Cause,
Bro,
like, some people just don't get it. It's
No.
There was something special as a kid.
And
about
just
it.
the value,
I
the
get the
value of
sentimental.
all of tabletop games in general. Like it's super dope.
Yeah.
For sure.
Didn't say my best card. I only
Oh,
ever
yeah,
pulled one
yeah,
card,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Fucking Cinnamon Toast Crunch Box had a Pokemon card in it, and it was a fucking Haunter. And I was geeked as fuck. I kept
I
this shit in
never
my
pulled
wallet
shit.
for the longest time, but now the corners are all fucked from the leather.
Oh.
So
But yeah,
Still sick though.
that's the card that had manufactured rarity among your friends, because everyone loved Haunter.
yeah, I mean, I got that at like fucking, I think I was 17, so I didn't have friends at the time.
Fair enough. Still down. It's all good though. All right, dog. Cool.
Super dope.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.
Like if you did, comment your favorite tabletop
Peace.
RPG, any stories you want to share. Subscribe for new episodes each Thursday at 6. See you then. Fuck, I missed. Oh, I got another one. Fuck!